Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Really stoked to have Anthony Cofrancesco here from PickFu. If you don't know what PickFu is, this may be the next hottest software tool that you've got to get on. Before we do that though, I am super pumped. There's a link below in the description. We've just opened up a free private Facebook group that is full of e-commerce founders. So to get the support you're looking for with launching and scaling your products online, it's my community. So be sure to go down below and grab the link. But enough about that. So Anthony and I got connected because Tim Jordan and I were on a call from AM PM, and he's like, how do you split test stuff? Like, how are you currently figuring out what the market wants? How do you do testing? And I was like, well, and I told him what we do. Like, we put a lot of things up, like landing pages and split tests through Facebook ads and stuff like that. And he's like, dude, this thing is going to blow your mind. Have you heard of PickFu before? And like, this guy gets excited over a lot of stuff, but I wanted to listen because PickFu is a platform that allows you to get really great market feedback when you need to split test, not just like big landing pages, but we're talking about like granular things. Like, how do you split test price? Can you get market feedback for different logos you're designing, for different images you're putting out there? And a lot of the stuff that in the pre-launch phase, when you don't have that massive audience to go to, how do you actually solicit real market feedback from your demographic? And that's exactly what PickFu is. So I've asked Anthony to come on. I'm going to shut up in a second, but I've just asked Anthony to come on and show me a demo of what in the crowdfunding space and in the product launch space, like how exactly can PickFu be used to get real feedback outside of you and your team? And I wanted this because instead of him just, showing me on a private call, this is just a better way to do it in public. So, Anthony, I'm super jazzed to have you here. Why don't you start by just telling me a little bit about yourself and how PickFu came about as a software?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having me on, Khierstyn. I'm really excited to be here. My background is, actually starting out in the FBA space. Believe it or not, I actually used to work for Amazon. I worked in operations management for a little more than a year and a half and got to see how Amazon worked on the back end. And I ended up quitting my job to go move out to the Philippines full time to help scale a creative agency that did photography, graphic design, copywriting, and video, all for Amazon FBA sellers, all centered around conversion optimization. So I did that for about 2 years and was able to exit that business last September in 2019. And PickFu is a tool that I used heavily for my own clients at Virtuous Graphics. And we actually worked with Justin and John from PickFu a lot on creating some really progressive and new tactics to use PickFu. And so I started with them full time in March. How PickFu started was probably very similar to kind of out of a self-need for themselves. The two founders of the company, Justin and John, were working on building a different website at that time, and they would kind of consistently butt heads on what was best in terms of creative output. And so they created a tool for themselves and started showing it to some friends, and the friends were like, "This is cool." So the first applications really came out around publishing and game development. So like if you're going to publish a book, how can you get a better book cover? And it's kind of expanded. So now we've got a lot of verticals in development and product launching and e-commerce and all sorts of places. So yeah.
And here we are. And I know some of my first questions to you were like, man, literally the possibilities are endless for what you can split test. And even when you're in our the product launchpad group, they kind of understand okay, sure, logo or t-shirt design, but it goes so much further than that. And so I'm excited that we're going to be covering some Kickstarter specific examples of how we can be using PickFu for this. So
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't you get into it? And then guys, as you're watching this, I know this is, pre-recorded, but drop any questions in the comments you have. If you aren't sure if PickFu can be used for anything specific or for your situation, just ask the question below, and I'm sure Anthony is happy to answer for you. So let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. I'm just going to get started. I'm going to jump right in. So does everything look okay?
Everything looks great. Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is going to be how to validate products using PickFu. One thing I do want to say, just kind of jumping into this, guys, like Khierstyn does not make any money, like very little money off PickFu affiliates, but this discount code is for you. We don't really give out this good of a discount. So if you want to run a PickFu test, you can get 50% off of your first poll. Just use the code crowdfund or go to pickfu.com/crowdfund and you can use the URL. Now, again, what this talk is going to cover is going to be how to validate different parts of creative assets for your product launches. So I'm going to cover things like design, branding, copy, images, and video. The whole end goal here is to have you, when you're launching a product, when you're going through this process, is to have more predictable product launches. And so, like Khierstyn said earlier, guys, literally my only job, I'm very fortunate here at PickFu, my only job is to help you guys out. So literally, if you have any questions at all, if you want to hop on the phone, I've literally seen hundreds and hundreds of listings. I've been doing this for a while. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Just send an email, Anthony@PickFu, and I'm also in the group as well if you want to tag me in anything related to there. So the first thing I'm actually going to do before I walk into like what is PickFu is I'm going to start a couple of polls. I've actually gone ahead. The other thing I do want to say as well, real quick, guys, is that my background is in FBA. So this whole Kickstarter thing is definitely a new application, and I'm so excited that Tim set me up with Khierstyn. What I will say as well is the information here is going to be pretty based on my understanding of what I've been able to learn. But if anyone is interested in doing a case study, I'd really love to work maybe with one of your students, Khierstyn. If someone, we could give them a few PickFu tests and actually get a legit case study in here today. But I've gone through, I've got just these two random listings. I hope they're no one's product, but these two random listings that are on Kickstarter. And I've already started a couple of tests. I just want to show you guys what the UI looks like inside, and then it's going to kind of click in the end. But I've just started off with, so we've got like this product right here, which is it essentially lets you, you have spices in a container. You can select how much you want to put out, and then you twist it, and it has a specific amount. So I've created a couple of tests with this one. You can see down here when we get to the bottom, right? They have this example of what you can actually use, right? What you can actually cook using this product. And so this whole product, when I was watching their video, was all about they wanted it to be like a gourmet option for people who are chefs, and they wanted this to be easy. So one of the first tests I've done, very simple test, is I've just got an image of each of these, the appetizers, snacks, smoothies, and the dinner. I've added them in here, and I say, which image best conveys the feeling of gourmet? And I've put that in quotes. This is something that you might call like a sentiment analysis. You want to see, is the vibe that I'm trying to put out with these pictures, is it is it actually being matched? So oopsies, I guess I'm just getting stuck here. But as you can see there, just like setting up the poll is super easy. You just upload your images, you click how big you want your sample size to be. So I'm just going to go with 50. You can also target down your audience to a bunch of different categories like gender, age range, hobby type, and things like that. So I just wanted to get this started so you guys can see how quickly this tool works. I'm going to click start there. I've also created this other one. This is for now, given they're already using this one as their video thumbnail, but just to give you guys some context, if I wanted to say, hey, which thumbnail is most convincing or most engaging to get you to click into this video, I've taken this, and then I also took this as an alternate option. And so as you can see here, which video thumbnail is the most engaging? I'm clicking votes and explanations. I've uploaded both of my options, and I'm just going to get this test started. Okay, so I'm going to let
Anthony, one question. One question I get a lot about PickFu is, who are the people that are actually polling you, right? Or like your market? Who is giving answers for this?
Absolutely. So I'm gonna jump into all that right now. Awesome. This is going to be what is PickFu, and so this is going to answer a lot of those questions. So what you guys saw there, it's all going to make a little bit more sense in a minute, but just in the most simple way possible, PickFu is instant consumer feedback. So essentially, you've got an idea, right? We have this panel of more than 10,000 people. They're all real people. They're all based in the United States. They get paid for answering these responses. And you show your idea to that panel of 10,000 plus people, and they give you real feedback. Now, the thing that I like to kind of ask hypothetically is, where are you currently going for feedback? I was watching Khierstyn's videos, and a lot of times I hear her say, oh yeah, you'll just go and ask, like, this should be validated beyond just your mom. So those are the big things that I hear when I ask sellers, hey, where are they going for feedback? They're saying they go to their partner, their spouse, and they're saying, hey, what do you think about my product packaging? Another really common one is just to go with your gut, just to go with your self-intuition. And then another common one are people will go ask friends, or they go into Starbucks and ask random strangers and, tap someone and say, hey, what do you think about this product idea? The thing is, there's nothing wrong with any of these methods, right? Going with your family, going with your gut, going with your friends. The thing is that they just might not be right. And so a really big thing to keep in mind is, and this is a really important point that I've seen Khierstyn emphasize as well, which is very, very true, is that when you are going to launch this brand and you're going through all this time and work and effort, you're not just going to do this as like a side hobby or a side hustle. You're looking to build something legitimate, and you're looking to match like what actual real companies do. You might not get to the level of a Nike or Under Armour, but eventually the goal is over time, you want to start moving in that direction. So just for a little bit of reference, when a major brand launches a product, they're spending anywhere from $45,000 to $75,000 per product just for consumer feedback. And the reason they do this is to reduce risk. They don't want to launch a product that completely flops. And so PickFu users do the exact same thing. The good thing though is you don't need to spend 45 to 75 grand. What we're finding is that on average, most of our users are running about 4 to 7 tests per product. So PickFu really allows you to kind of eliminate that guesswork, allows you to stop guessing and start knowing. A big thing is it allows you to ask questions to specific targeted audiences. So a lot of times you might be solving a problem that's in a niche that's outside of your area of expertise or outside of an audience that you actually have any context in. So how in the world are you going to launch a product into that niche, into that category without getting some feedback from people in that category? The other thing that's really unique about PickFu, which you're going to see in just a minute, is that it's super fast. It's really important as well because when you're launching a product on something like Kickstarter, you're driving all the traffic to generally a single event, a launch event. And so normally a general PickFu test where you're actually getting data, that requires you to already have an audience, already have traffic. And those tests could take anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 weeks just to get enough data to validate and say, hey, this option was actually the winner and this one was the loser. PickFu is super fast. The tests are usually done in about 30 minutes. And then last but not least is unlike a normal A/B test as well, which you're just going to see numerical data for this is the winner, this is the loser. It doesn't necessarily help you understand why. PickFu, everyone is required to give you detailed response and feedback as to why they chose that response. Khierstyn, can you still hear me? Am I good?
Yep, I can still hear you.
Cool,
I'm
cool,
just being
cool,
quiet
cool.
in the background.
All right, sounds good. So so this is a little bit of what the UI looks like. You guys have already seen this. One thing I do want to note though is that, again, unlike a normal A/B test, you're not just testing 2 options. You can actually test here, you're seeing 4. You can actually test up to 8 options simultaneously. This is what I was showing, and we're going to see a lot of examples of this in a minute, is the detailed feedback. But again, I don't really care so much option A, option B, which one wins. I'm much more about making marginal improvements of the creative assets little by little by little by little, because it's all in the revisions. And you start with something that's good, but then through the revisions, you end up making something that's amazing, that really resonates with your customer. So I'm really looking for the golden nuggets down here in the detailed feedback. So with that being said, I'm going to walk you guys through the most common tests. So the really cool thing is that getting started is easy at any point in your launch process. So right when you're starting off, just for initial USP concepting, so you can get feedback on, these essential elements of your product or brand. And so, what your price point could potentially be at, what your backer level in rewards are going to be at, just what the product itself is going to look like, what's the branding, what's the marketing. Once you've kind of figured out what the product is and generally the problem that you're going to try to solve, then you can use it to start to do your pre-creative direction. Again, remember, when you're doing these launches, you're driving everyone to generally a single event over a period of time, right? And so you're going to invest heavily in getting your photos, your graphic design, videos for your listing, all of the writing for your brand story and the risks and challenges for your campaigns. You're going to spend a lot of money on doing that. So PickFu can help you with pre-creative direction before you even start to take a photo, right? What you can do is you can go find stock images and start to test and say, hey, which scenes or which photos should we try to replicate when we actually go and do our creative work? So it can really help you with pre-creative direction. And then last but not least is post-creative audit. Now, I want to say that, like, if you're launching, again, because you're going to that launch event, this is the most important thing. Now, our users that are using PickFu in the most effective way, they're using PickFu to develop these assets over time until they get to that launch event. But at the very minimum is what you want to be doing is this post-creative audit. And that's to benchmark your assets and get last minute feedback prior to your launch event. And that's just to put everything out there and say, okay, I've spent all of this time, all of this money, all of these resources to do this launch. I want to make sure that there's not these glaring red flags of things that I'm just messing up, or low-hanging fruit for optimizations that is going to make my product launch more clear and able to better communicate with the customer. So with that being said, I'm just going to roll through some overall examples. These are going to be quick here, and then we're going to start to break down the results from the tests. So let's start off with branding. This is really simple. Again, you don't need much to start using PickFu. Here, people are testing. This is for a pay-per-use discount club. They're testing the difference between Island Cash and Island Dollars, right? Again, they don't even have a logo at this point. They're just trying to get some general feedback as to an overall direction. This is a really good example as well for someone that has already picked their brand name, but now they're deciding on a logo. And this is for a line of natural wood furniture. Now, again, if I was given both of these options, I would think both are objectively quite good. But the reason that this is the winner, if you look at the feedback, is because people like that this was more thin, professional for a line of furniture, especially high end. And they like the tree because it signified a much more natural feeling versus, what is this? Is it a bed? Is it a house? It's not so clear. And that's why this is the winner. In terms of product design, right, this is a big one. You can use PickFu to help optimize your overall. I like using it to optimize your price, like what price point should you actually sell at, which inclusions or bonus item, and then which rewards thresholds would be the most valuable. Product inclusions are a big one as well, to actually make sure that if you are adding on bonus items or things with your product launch, to make sure they're actually complementing the product and making the product more valuable rather than just being like an added little bonus item. This is pretty relevant as well for just reward backers, because you don't just want to say, hey, I'm going to take your money because you like me. You want to actually give them value. And so as they're paying more for going down your reward levels, you should be incentivizing them with more valuable goods. Obviously, product design is a big one. You might have had a really good idea for what your product actually is in the function, but there's a lot of smaller details that come down to the design, like even just different finish options or overall different options of how your product is actually presented. What I like to do is when I'm early on in the conceptualization portion of launching a product is I like to break down the product into every small possible component. And then I like to think about how could I modify this from a visual perspective to make the product pop more, to make it look more professional, to give it a more premium feel. So I'll look at things like zippers, materials, threads, handle type and style, whatever it might be, just to see what all possible options are out there and then kind of tone those in until I get to my final product. Product packaging is obviously a huge one. Most people don't realize this, but small changes to color palettes and packaging. Both of these packages are almost identical, but people really like this for the Peat Mud Mask because it was a much more premium look, and this one caught your eyes if you're scrolling through, right? Small changes, but important nonetheless. This is another good example, right? Imagine if you were launching this immune supplement product, right? You have this product, you have a good idea that it's going to work, but now what does your packaging look like? And again, all three of these options are objectively quite good. I would be happy if my creative team sent this to me. But the reason option A is the winner is because, well, option A and B is because they like that the list format rather than the blocky format. Small change, but important. And the reason option A was the overall winner is because they actually wanted to see, the customers wanted to see, I can see exactly what's included in this now: zinc, vitamin C, D3. Whereas here, this is more showing what the benefits are, and people are much more curious. Hey, I know with an immune supplement, I'm looking for zinc, vitamin C, D3, whatever it might be, and this confirms that. Copywriting is a big one as well. I mean, I want to focus a lot more on the visual side of things and I would encourage you when you're launching to try to make your listings as visual as possible and communicate visual messages, but copywriting is still super, super important. So just with different things like your bullet points or your descriptions, you can just test different versions. You can also do it to optimize, I was talking about this a little bit already, but optimizing your rewards. So earlier I was talking about what rewards actually would be included, but the other thing that you can think about is how the phrasing of the words actually is presented here. So I would play around with different phrasings and different versions of those words. Same thing with any text that's on your listing, right? What I like to do, this is for one of the listings I have up. We're going to look at this in a minute. It's for an outdoor griller. And so they've got their title and this subtitle here. What I would encourage you to do is have your copywriting team make alternates, change things like word order, the style of the voice, and even the framing, just kind of changing the positioning of words, they can give it an entirely different meaning just based on the use of context. And what you want to do is you want to focus on, if someone makes it to your Kickstarter page, you want it to be clear, and you want to make sure that the intent you have is the intent that your customer is getting, right? What I like to do with my copywriting teams as well is I like to say, hey, for risks and challenges, for our company background, whatever it might be, make me one option that's humorous and make me another option that's informative. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use PickFu to test and see which one best vibes with the audience. For images, right, it's all about just getting the best images possible. Back in the day, you might be able to have an image like this, but now we know that the more detail and context you can give in your image to show how big the product is, how it's going to fit in their life, allowing the customer to envision those lifestyle scenarios of the practical uses are really the most important, right? And so you want to take a step beyond. Again, this is all about making marginal improvements to your creative assets so that you, when you get the chance, you have that one shot to really talk to your customer. You get one shot to do that, and you want to make sure that you're communicating the most information and cramming as much information about your product into their brain as possible. So the reason option A here is infinitely better is because I don't have to wonder, is this a tool I'm going to find in my workshop? No, this is specifically for peeling apples. We're going to go through some infographic examples as well. And actually, I'll just skip over this one because I think we have a little bit better of one in the demo. I'm just going to keep rolling through these. With videos, though, what I do recommend, again, videos are something, it's like, this is the first thing someone's going to see on your Kickstarter page. You're likely spending a good bit of money and a lot of time to get these done. So what I like to do with the video, you could use PickFu in a very simple way to compare different versions of the video and just say, what do you think about the video? But what makes a lot more sense is actually if you break down the video into different components, right? So break it down into your hook, your CTA, the overall editing. And what I like to do is when I'm shooting these videos, I'm going to go, and when I write the scripts, I'm going to come up with multiple variations for the intro hook. I'm going to come up with multiple variations for the end call to action, multiple variations for the editing style, or even order of clips, or how the whole clip is set up and composed in terms of timing. And then what I'm going to do is with those alternate versions, I'm going to use PickFu and I'm going to test, right? Because again, you only get one shot with this video. Someone's either going to watch it or they're not going to watch it, and they're not going to watch it all the way through. So you want to make sure they're engaged and the correct information is being conveyed all the way through to the end, whether it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever. So guys, this is kind of what I was saying earlier. You just really have to start thinking about this as an essential key component to your business. Like, this is super important. The last thing I will say, and then we're going to jump into these examples, is like, don't take my word for it. If this doesn't click for you, then that's fine. But what I would say is we have a few really great case studies that we've had. One of them is with this company you might have heard of called THREEBIE. They're the fastest profitable company in the US to reach unicorn status. That's $1 billion in valuation. We did a case study with them a few months ago about this brand of pet deodorizers that they had, Angry Orange, and about how they use PickFu to take their product packaging, again, marginal improvements to get from this to this. And we could see it every step along the way. Again, not bad packaging, fantastic packaging, and how just by changing their product packaging grew that brand from $2 to more than $20 million. And so you can actually check out that testimonial on our YouTube page, and you'll hear the VP of Creative literally say for over 2 years, they've been using PickFu on basically every major creative decision that they've made as a company. So with that being said, guys, that's the presentation. We're going to roll into the demos here. Use that code CROWDFUND. And yeah, ready to go through some of the results?
Yeah, let's do it. And all links will be like directly below the video in the description, so you will have that.
Cool. And what I'm going to do, so what I want to do first is let me actually share these links with you, Khierstyn.
Okay.
I'll share them with you through the chat. That way you can look through, and I think we still have like 10 minutes left, right?
Yep.
We're good.
Yeah, we have about 10.
All right, let me message this to you here. Chat. Okay, so guys, what I'm doing right now is, so I'm just sharing these results. Cool thing is, just like any Google Drive or anything, sharing these results is super easy with your team, with your creative folks, whatever it might be. And so the other really cool feature, and the reason I'm saying these to Khierstyn is so that Khierstyn, if you could just start clicking around through the listing. I'm gonna kind of walk us through some of these. But okay, so Okay, guys. So just for some context, because I know you haven't seen this before. So this outdoor cooking scenario. Essentially, it's just like a sustainable. You can like put wood underneath it, and it's really compact and it's good for backpacking that you can cook on, right? And so they've got this product video here that I watched, and it's like a pretty good product video. So one of the tests that I set up before we started, which is actually already finished, is I said, after watching this video on the Kickstarter page, can you please explain what this product is supposed to do and its unique selling points? And then I also had them give us a rating. So on average, this video got 4.1 out of 5 stars. 50 people responded. And so so what I was doing here, oopsies, this one. What I was doing here is I really wanted to see, okay, if they are, if someone comes to this listing, I just want to see, was that video effective? Can they actually see exactly what the product is? Is it very clear? The other one that I set up this was just another image that they had on the listing. I wanted to see, again, this would just kind of be like maybe a pre-creative test or just to get overall feedback, because I want to say, what emotions does this photo invoke? I kind of wanted to see, what I was expecting to see, and we'll see how right or wrong I was. But I was expecting to see, based on looking at this listing, they're trying to evoke emotions of this being like, you're kind of real outdoorsy. You're kind of like, yeah, like this first person, I guess I'm cheating a little bit, but they say primitive hunger. It's kind of exactly what I was thinking, like minimalist going out in the woods. And I want to see, does this image, and again, I don't know anything about this brand, but I want to see what are the people saying down here. And then for these other two that I've set up, just to give you context, and we're going to start breaking these down, is again, we had these different options. I want to find out, like maybe this is in my email or, whatever I'm sending out. I want to see which one of these is the most gourmet, like which one of these is the best image. And then for this one, I just wanted to see which thumbnail people would like. So I'm going to walk you guys through just 2 more seconds of just little features. And Khierstyn, if you want to use these or mention these. So obviously, one thing that's cool, you can see how quick this one was done. This was done in 50 responses in 18 minutes. So this one was crazy fast. These ones are still coming in. As you can see, it says we've got 2 respondents answering. Up here in the top as well, we have a little thing. It's like, it'll show you as they're coming in. I love to have these tabs open. Just, I always get real distracted. So I like to see them as they're coming in and like keep refreshing the page. But as you guys are seeing, we just started these and these are almost like completely done. So, the other just last little feature, and then I'll shut up. So the other thing is, like, if you see, so you can use this, click here, same way on different research tools. You can click here when the test is done, which I think this one is done. Sorry, incorrect there. Sorry. So anyway, so I just want to keep going down. What you can do is, if you see a response and you want to, like, let's say you want to share it with your team, you can pin a response. And as you pin the responses, you can take the URL, it's going to copy that and it'll actually hold your pins. So if you want to share it with the creative team. And then another question that we get a lot as well, kind of based on what Khierstyn was saying earlier, is like, are these real people? One thing you can also do is, over 8 years, we've been training the PickFu UI we have a machine learning algorithm that actually filters the word responses. And so over time, sellers have been coming through and been clicking helpful or not helpful, or even asking a follow-up question. And that actually helps to, when people give helpful responses, really detailed ones, they actually get a bonus. And then when people give bad responses, then they are removed from the panel. So with that being said, I think we're right around 30 minutes. So, I don't know what the best way to attack this is, Khierstyn. If we want to dive into these results, we just want to make all of these results shareable with everyone, but just let me know.
Yeah, I think it's important to, you walk through really well how to read and how to use it. So I think it's less about, this episode today wasn't about like, let's dissect what makes a good creative, and it's more about look at the different ways you can use PickFu, right? Where's my video? Yeah. And so I really like that you focused on the UI and walking through like how to actually use it, because I think it's super helpful when someone actually goes to do their first test and they can walk through and, oh, how did he do that again, right? One thing I didn't think of that I really liked is, I was thinking really linear with like, okay, so maybe we can use this for a logo design or packaging. Is it A or B? But then you said, like, what kind of feeling does this evoke when you see this image or read this headline or watch this video? I think that that's gold, to get perspective from people about what it means to them, because a lot of times founders will write a headline or put a video out there or write a paragraph that they think 100%
And Khierstyn, I'm not
resonates.
sure if your video's on. I'm not trying to didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, really? Who knows? It's
Anyway,
probably on. We'll get it in post edit.
okay.
But yeah, like just asking people like, okay, when I say this, what do you hear back, right? So it's asking for like indirect feedback to make sure your message is actually congruent with what you're expecting of the market. So that was like my favorite point of what you showed in there for that. Because so many times founders are like, yeah, I think I'm really describing my product and conveying my message. When in actuality, against that demographic, it's not conveying, right?
Absolutely. And that was, I had a call recently with a good friend of mine, and she's on the marketing team for Pepsi and Gatorade. And one of the things, because I was kind of walking her through the demo, and one of the things she was showing me is like, when Gatorade's launching a product and they're doing an image, they'll do the same kind of thing. It's a sentiment analysis, and they'll say which image best evokes the emotion of thirst or relaxation. And so it is really important. Another big one as well, which is just fantastic, is something around the concept of a 5-second test, right? And so like if you show someone an image or a video, you show it to them for 5-10 seconds, and then you take it away, they should be able to describe almost exactly what your thought is about what that image was trying to convey to you. And so again, like when you're doing these Kickstarter campaigns, you get one shot at this a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't
Yeah.
convince someone on that one go, and you're messaging it, if you think your messaging is clear but the audience only gets 70%, right? That's just an issue for potential
That's
drop off and no conversion.
Yeah, it's lost sales, it's an underperforming campaign, and nobody wants to be there. So, but this has been great, guys. All of the links, whatever, will be below this video. Be sure to, by the way, give this video a big thumbs up to say thank you to Anthony for spending his Friday afternoon recording this with me, so that you guys will hopefully have a software tool that is going to make a difference in your business. So, yeah. Do you have any famous last words before we go?
I guess the one thing I would really, really say is that at the end of the day, success in business is all about error reduction, right? And when you first start off, I mean, I'm sure all of you guys have been in this situation. When you're first starting off, it's like everything you do, you fail at, right? No one gets it right on their first shot. And the really cool thing about PickFu is because it's so rapid, you can fail a lot faster. And a lot of people might look at those failures or the hiccups, but the reason I like using PickFu is because I like to try to subject my my launches to as much scrutiny as possible. And then the reason why is because I know if I've put it through the ringer, once I get to the end, I still could fail, but there's going to be a much lower chance or probability of me failing. And so at the end of the day, it's just a numbers game. And the more you can do error reduction on your process to launching, and then once you've launched, to kind of correct even from there and keep adjusting and just keep refining and keep making those marginal gains, that is absolutely how it's done. Marginal gains over a long period of time and consistent effort.
Love that. Spoken like, I don't know. It's Friday afternoon, so my brain is like,
I feel you
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. So my words and whatever, but no, but this has been awesome. And guys, again, like the channel, subscribe, or like the video, subscribe, whatever. And thanks so much for your time. So
Thanks so much, Khierstyn.